My name's Daryl Domitruk. I'm the Executive Director of the Manitoba Pulse and Soybean Growers. I'd like to welcome you to a morning of talks and knowledge transfer activities on the topic of soil health. If you're here today, you're interested in a very good topic and you're going to learn a lot about something that's very, very important, not just today, but going forward. First of all, Manitoba Pulse and Soybean, our vision is Manitoba farms sustainably producing profitable pulse and soybean crops. So that word profit for the farmer is threaded through everything we do. We do that in 4 different ways: through doing research and funding research, and you'll hear a lot of what we fund, or a portion of what we fund today in the speakers after me. We do market development. We work on new uses for pulse and soybean crops and support companies that are looking to add value to those here in Manitoba. We do a lot of policy and advocacy, advocating for farmers, for environmental issues and things like that. And we do a lot of communications and extension, and that's what this is all about today. But in our research program, we've got 4 main areas of focus, all of them threaded very tightly through with the goal of improving profitability of pulse and soybean enterprises. So the first area we invest in research is improving yield and market quality. We look to also reduce the financial impact of pests in our pulse and soybean crops, and we look for new markets for new and existing crops. So we're developing crops, new pulse crops like lupins and adzuki beans, so they can be grown in Manitoba and add options for farmers. And we also have a focus on improving soil health and contributing and quantifying the contribution of legumes to overall environmental quality, because they do have a big effect and a growing effect and are of growing importance as we move into an era of climate change and the need to reduce carbon emissions from agriculture. I just wanted to show how we spend our money, how we spend farmers' money in doing research in those 4 areas. So far, in the last 6 years or so, that blue piece of the pie indicates most of our, I see the numbers didn't come through, it's something in the transfer between PowerPoint programs, but the big blue piece of the pie is research we do to improve yield and quality of crops. That's where we mostly work. The orange piece is where is the work we do and research we fund in the pest area, trying to reduce the financial impact of pests. The area of soil health is that smaller orange piece. So we've had a focus on it, but it's not been huge. And so the board of directors recently met and said, we've got to grow that piece of the pie, but we've got to grow it so that soil health translates into better profitability for our farmers. And why is that? Well, the board recognizes, and we recognize as staff, that improving soil health is a win-win. It's a win-win for farm profitability and for society. Society's quest to solve climate change. Legumes must play an integral role in that mission because of their win-win potential. Farmers should seize control of their soil health now, is our opinion, because society is still figuring out how to reward farmers for being stewards of other resources. You know, every year there seems to be another layer of expectation placed on farmers to steward different areas of resources, not necessarily for their personal good, but for the greater good of society. And farmers often ask, well, what's in it for me? Am I being compensated? With soil health, you don't have to ask that question because it's a win-win. Things that are good for the farmer in building their soil health are good for society, and their concerns about climate change, their concerns about water quality, their concerns about biodiversity, those are all important elements in soil health. And if we can improve soil health, we improve all of those at the same time. Profitable pulses and soybeans are a contributor and a beneficiary to soil health. So we're also looking at it from our own perspective and saying, healthy soil is something we can provide by growing legumes, but it's also necessary for legumes to grow. That intimate relationship is really important, and we're looking at seizing that a little bit more. And finally, Practical research and knowledge transfer are necessary tools to help farmers improve soil health. That's why Manitoba Pulse and Soybean Growers it's our business to do research and knowledge transfer, and soil health is an excellent place for us to play in that regard. There's a new soil health initiative that I want you to be aware of just before we carry on with the program. Assiniboine Community College right here in Brandon, along with funding from the Weston Family Foundation, is creating an information hub for farmers for gathering and consolidating the most helpful and relevant information on soil health practices. They've actually developed a self-assessment tool called SHAPE Soil Health Action Plan Exercise, and they're creating a community of practice, a peer group, if you will, of farmers that will be able to participate in facilitated discussions and practical experiences among their farmer peers with respect to how people can improve soil health. Currently, there's a request for community of practice hosts. What these really are district meetings, the old-fashioned district meetings where like-minded farmers can get together in a shop, in a Quonset, at the local hall or church basement and compare notes, practical notes on how they're looking to improve soil health. And there's two questions it's built around. What soil health practices have you recently incorporated or experimented with on your farm in the last few years, and how has that worked out? What soil health practices are you considering incorporating or experimenting with next? And what obstacles might be in your way? So if you're a farmer that's interested in finding out more about these community of practices that Assiniboine College is looking at setting up around the province to discuss at a practical level soil health issues, contact that fellow at the bottom of the slide, Brent Van Conant. He's in Carmen at 745-7100, and his email's there. See me after if you want a little bit more information. Finally, about 30 years ago, there was a farmer from Chile whose name was Carlos Crovetto Lamarca. Carlos came to the Manitoba North Dakota Zero Tillage Farmers Association annual workshop here in Brandon, and he talked about his life's journey in soil health. And he wrote a book, and it was called Stubble Over the Soil. Carlos passed away in 2022, but he left a legacy of a tremendous commitment and a model of how farmers can look after themselves and look after the planet at the same time. But the thing that I will always remember from those decades ago was his closing statement. He had about an hour presentation on his farm in Chile and all the thought processes he went through and all the struggles he went through to figure out soil health and how it could benefit his farm. And at the end of the day, in his very strong Spanish accent, he closed his remarks by saying, "We must love our soil." And the group, the attendees that were starting to rustle a little bit after an hour sitting there suddenly went silent. And it resonated, and I think for some of us it resonates to this day. And so to take that theme, we must love our soil, I can think of no better way to propel that forward than the video that we're about to see about researchers, about citizens of Manitoba and Canada, and about farmers who really love their soil. Thank you, and we'll talk to you in a second.
Hi, I'm Des Daniels, host of Great Tastes of Manitoba. Great Tastes has been proudly representing Manitoba farmers and ranchers for 35 years. And this year we're particularly excited to be partnering with Manitoba Ag Days to bring the stories of agricultural innovation and accomplishment to audiences right across the country. There is nothing we love more than showcasing the passionate folks who work in the ag sector who produce so much more than just the food that we use to cook with on the show every week. So we want to say thank you to Manitoba Ag Days and to all of our sponsors for their support in 2024, as well as the past 35 seasons. You're about to get a sneak peek at one of our brand new Produced on the Prairies episodes. Now, the whole series of stories is going to be broadcast on CTV and the Rural Channel in the fall, so you have that to look forward to. But in the meantime, you might want to consider subscribing to our YouTube channel so that you never miss a single episode of the show, ever. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the show.
Farmers love the dirt because it's been passed down from generation to generation, and it's something they did with their dad, and it's something that they enjoy doing with their kids. And it's always been part of your lifestyle to be interacting with the soil. I'm Frank Prince from Hartney, Manitoba, and I'm a farmer.
My name is Steve Crittenden. I'm a scientist with Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada in Brandon, Manitoba. My program is Soil Health and Nutrient Management. So mostly what I work on is trying to understand how we can manage our soils to improve crop productivity and better our environmental sustainability. Most of our food is grown in soil, so it's essential for human nutrition, But I think one of the fascinating things about soil is that, yes, we need to manage our soil for our crop productivity, but it also plays a role in a lot of other ecosystem services, as in benefits that we can get from soil, whether that's dulling the edge of climate stresses or protecting our water quality. So it plays quite a key role. Soil health is the interaction of everything going on in soil. It's those chemical, biological, and physical properties of soil sort of all interacting all at the same time.
My name's Matthew Bucker. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Microbiology at the University of Manitoba. There's a lot of stuff going on in soil. There's a lot of life in soil, in just a little bit of soil, thousands of different kinds of bacteria, hundreds of different kinds of fungi, and then all the invertebrates and worms and so on. So it's really a bustling, lively place and super interesting to study. It's really the most biodiverse ecosystem on Earth is soil in terms of the number of different kinds of organisms that live there. So it's really cool. Soil quality and water quality are intimately connected. Mainly because, most water passes through soil on its way into our streams, rivers, and lakes. And what happens to it during that passage, has a big impact on the surface water quality.
In here, that indicates they're actively fixing nitrogen.
So pulses in soybeans help us reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by not having to apply as much or any nitrogen to the crops, as they fix it all themselves.
So they recruit these bacteria, special bacteria that have certain enzymes out of the soil. They create a home for them by modifying their root structure, allowing those bacteria to live inside their roots in the nodules, or these bumpy kind of growths. The bacteria are able to take a form of nitrogen that's all around us in the air, but that we and most organisms cannot use.
If you go back in time to the dirty 30s when they plowed everything and it got dry, and their soil all blew away, and it took many years to regain the soil structure after that. The whole world has become smarter, and so have farmers with how they interact with the soil.
Soil is a massive carbon sink. There is an incredible amount of carbon in soil, and that plays a role in climate change. And so it really matters how farmers manage their soil to keep that carbon in the soil and hopefully build it, because that has an impact on everyone.
We have to think of soil health as an analogy, and what does it mean to be a healthy person? There's lots of aspects to that, and just being physically healthy doesn't, guarantee that you're also having healthy relationships and so on. It's the same, that analogy is meant to describe the soil too. Just having good, fertility doesn't necessarily mean that you're also disease resistant and so on. So it's not a panacea. It's not something that we can easily manage simultaneously for every aspect of soil health, but it's the idea that there are functions that we can benefit from if we manage our soil in a way that will foster those functions. There'll be payback for us as farmers too.
You can apply cutting-edge science to solutions that farmers are going to use on a practical level. And that's, I think, was really, really exciting to be able to do something, use the scientific method and apply it to crop productivity and environmental sustainability all at the same time.
As a farmer, I care about soil conservation, as I would like to pass my farm on to my children, and I'd like to give it to them in a better condition than I received it in. We are very proud of the work we do here on the farm. We are always trying to improve our practices and increase our soil health, which results in higher yields and better quality of crop for the end user.